What's up, everybody? It's Colin. The first portion of this video is going to be stretching, then we're going to get into the workout. Check the description for timestamps so you can kind of skip around and see the parts of the video that you want to see. It's a really good idea to stretch, especially before doing a body weight leg day, because the exercises that we're going to be doing is different from doing weights. Weights, you're more focused on staying in that one plan of motion and kind of keeping that joint capsule safe, especially the heavier you get. You do not want your squat stance to get changed. If like you're doing powerlifting or deadlifting, you kind of want to stick to that one variation of that exercise per that workout. Not saying that you can do accessories, but for the main lift, you're sticking to that one range of motion. As to body weight, it's a lot different. We're trying to hit the muscle and the joint from different angles, and we need that joint capsule mobility in order to get into different positions to stress the muscle in different ways, so we can have a strength gain when we go back to the weights. Something that I definitely notice while doing bodyweight leg days and bodyweight anything, it's a lot less taxing on my joints. It's still taxing to an extent, but if it would take me 4 days to recover from a normal weightlifting leg day in which I would deadlift or squat relatively heavy for type 2 muscle fibers, along with do a lot of accessories such as leg curl, hamstring curl, etc., versus me doing a bodyweight leg day, it only takes me about 2 days to recover. So I can hit legs at a higher frequency, which would lead to more hypertrophy muscle growth along with muscular endurance, as opposed to just doing weights along with having a worse effect on the joint long term for longevity. Yeah, I mean, even if you're doing weights, I mean, you can do some foam rolling, some light stretching, but before doing body weight exercises, I'd recommend doing active and or intensive stretching, which is what this beginner part of this video is going to be demonstrating. So just to kind of summarize, it's really important to have good range of motion, especially when you're doing body weight, because you're going to need it in order to get that joint in a proper range of motion and not force your joint capsule into something that your muscle tension isn't ready for, which would end up hurting your joint, aka your ligaments or tendons. So it's good to have that flexibility, and it's kind of a good warm-up also at the same time. And this right here is a killer hip flexor stretch. This is my favorite stretch to stretch my hip flexors. Since doing this, a lot of my lumbar, aka the lower back, lumbar back is the spine in which is between the pelvis and rib cage. It's not really attached to anything other than just ligaments and tendons. It's not your pelvis, it's not the spine where your rib cage jet out from, it's that kind of spot in between. I was having a lot of hyperextension, which the lower back was arched, and or some back pain, some sort of like tingling, or every once in a while a zapping sensation, and a little bit of sciatica nerve problems when I was doing a powerlifting split. And then since really doing a lot of, or just staying on top of hip flexor stretches, I might do hip flexor stretches 5 times in a week, and then I might not do it for a whole entire week, and then I might do it twice the next week. And from doing it 5 times that 1 week, I kind of unlocked this new range of motion that I can maintain relatively easy, and kind of snap right back into after a day or two of just staying on top of stretching. Stretching is just all about staying on top of it, and just like the gym, it's consistency over time, which is going to yield you results, which is the same exact principle as stretching. And this hip flexor stretch is so important because all the time, us humans, we're sitting, and imagine if your bicep, imagine if your arm wasn't straight when you walked around. Imagine if your arm was at a 90-degree angle, or your hand was stuck to your shoulder. Then imagine how tight your bicep would be. The same thing is happening to your hip flexor all the time, and it really does help a lot with a lot of muscle tension issues, which can lead to weird sensations and pain in the body. And then here we got the splits. Splits maybe took me 30. They took me about 30 days to get, and it took about 4 months of just normal stretching before I got them. Here's like almost a pancake position. Splits. Once you can do splits, it's very unique how your adductors and your glutes and your hips will develop, because you unlock this range of motion in which you have never really been able to get into for your whole entire life. You're going to see later in this video, when I do some one leg balance drills, having that hip flexibility and mobility really unlocks your potential for new and different exercises, and kind of where the hip placement is, whether I want to internally rotate that hip and put more weight and pressure onto my adductor and the medial, that's medial side, which is the inside of my body, versus the lateral side, which is the outside of my body, and kind of work different parts of my quad, my hamstring, my glutes, and my back. It just gives you so much more options in which exercise selection that you can do, and work the joint in different ways. And if you work the joint in different ways, then you have a stronger joint overall, which is going to lead to a longevity career in day-to-day life and in athletic life. And another thing I want to add is doing one leg balance drills really builds up your calves and your tibials and your foot strength. You used to have really small calves or skinnier calves, and I literally don't train my calves other than on my bodyweight leg days, which consists of Stair-master at the end and one leg balance drills. And I'm telling you, it really does build up your calves. It's the same principle of doing lots of pull-ups will build up your forearms, because the time under tension and just holding onto the bar in a static hold. My forearms blew up when I started doing pull-ups, and like the 4th month in, I had these giant forearms. Same thing for the calves and tibials. And this right here, when I was having knee problems, just doing one leg balances, it just builds up the stabilization in your whole entire lower body. I didn't start on like this Bosu ball or this balance, whatever this thing is called. The Bosu ball is in the back right corner. I don't know what this variation of gym equipment is called, but it's like a Bosu ball. That's besides the point, though. The point is I started on the floor, and just work your way up into doing more dynamic movements. And first start with static holds and do it from anywhere from 60 to 120 seconds to all the way up to 180, and play around with your foot. You know, push that big toe into the ground, squeeze the ground with your feet, and then also extend your foot, lift your toes up and push the pad of your foot, kind of like the bottom knuckles of your foot, just like on your hand where you get calluses. You're going to build that foot up. You're going to build the tibials and the calves. You're going to build up the extensors in your foot along with the flexors in your foot. The flexors in your foot is going to be when you're going to be squeezing the ground with your big toe. The extensors is going to be lifting the toes up and pushing the pad of the foot into the ground, which is going to lead to a better overall athletic body. And here we got one-legged squats. These are a great variation to build up to doing a pistol squat. If I was fresh, warmed up, I could probably get anywhere from 3 to 4 pistol squats on the floor and do normal range of motion. Because I'm pre-exhausted, could not do that at this current stage in the workout, but this is like doing accessories for a squat or deadlift, but in this case we're applying that to the pistol squat. Pistol squat, I mean, I can squat, I was squatting 300 pounds for like 3 reps on like a 4-second eccentric phase and exploding up with about 1 second when I was deadlifting 300 for reps, but I could not do a pistol squat. Pistol squats is a different type of strength than it is with weights. It's different. And this is a great accessory to build that up. And these are hip flexor raises. I highly recommend these to anybody. They're great to kind of increase the mind muscle connection to the hip flexors, along with kind of build up that upper part of your quad. You're not going to get massive quads from doing this, but what you are going to do is get a better mind muscle connection, which is going to lead to a better exercise performance in other exercises, which is going to lead to a better, bigger, faster, stronger quad. And here we got some static hold variations. These are good too once you're already pre-exhausted from doing full range of motion, half or assisted pistol squats on a box. Alright, this portion is just me kind of finishing off the legs with some floor, one leg balance exercises, supersetted with some lunges. And then lastly, we're going to finish with the Stair-master for about 8 minutes, something like that. Um, this is great, especially at the end of the workout. Sometimes I'll do the Stair-master on days I'm not even doing bodyweight leg days. I might have an upper body day, and then I might do the Stair-master for 21 minutes after doing upper body. Just step gently. I know I have a bar on my back, and it might not look like I'm stepping gently, but I really am stepping gently and not just slamming my foot into the stairs. That's not really going to be good for your knees, your hips, or your ankles long term. You want to step gently, pretend like you're trying to be light on your feet, and then once that foot is fully planted, then step up. These are also good for the calves and your feet, kind of building those up. They're not that good for the quads. What I have noticed actually, which is good for the quads, is if we took the bar off my back, and I, rather than stepping up one step, I skip a step and then step up 2 steps, which will put the hips in a increased angle and kind of like a deep squat. And those have actually grown my quads a little bit, and especially help with toning from doing these high toning rep exercises, which is just cardio. It's going to get your heart rate up, but it's also going to work that muscle endurance along with tone them up.